Today is the deadline for Hillary Clinton to turn in written answers under oath to Judicial Watch on her private email scandal. The House Judiciary Committee grilled FBI Director James Comey yesterday over the decision to not file charges against the Democratic nominee. Watch.
You can call us wrong, but don't call us weasels. We are not weasels. We are honest people. And we did this in that way. Whether you disagree or agree with the result, this was done the way you would want it to be done.
House Congressman and House Judiciary Committee member Louis Gohmert is joining us this morning from Washington, D.C. Good to see you, Congressman. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good to see you.
What do you think? Did they do it the way you wanted it done? Did they do it with integrity? Did they do it the way it should have been done?
Well, the more we find out, the more it's very clear this was such an unusual investigation. So many things. I've dealt with the FBI before I was a judge and Chief Justice, and the way it normally works, they don't give you immunity to bring something like a laptop in that they could grab through a search warrant or subpoena. So instead of going and grabbing it, as I told Comey, as a judge, you bring the facts that you had to me, I sign a search warrant, you go grab the laptop. And I told him that I'd talked to some former federal prosecutors, and one indicated they're all in agreement, but one said, look, if an FBI agent came to me and said, we've got to give immunity in order to get the laptop that we know contains emails we need to see, I would have told the FBI, don't let this agent ever work on one of my cases again. This is a lightweight that doesn't know what he's doing. They rushed out and gave 5 immunities. Normally, the way that works, if you want to get immunity or a plea deal for your client, you bring in what's called a proffer. And oral is not normally good enough because you couldn't enforce it, an oral proffer. They want to see in writing what you say your client is going to say.
Right.
They make an offer for immunity or a plea deal based on what you say the client will say. And then they make clear in the deal, if your client deviates from your proffer at all, there's no immunity, there's no deal. There was nothing like that in there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why Jim Comey was so surprised about anybody questioning this. I mean, let's face it, this interview was done not under oath. It was not recorded at the FBI. They do record some interviews.
Maria, they had a key witness, someone who we know was involved in what happened to the emails, who very likely should be looking at charges herself. She was a witness. She had been interviewed. That was Cheryl Mills.
Right.
And yet Comey said, well, when Hillary brought this big entourage, including Cheryl Mills, we have no power to keep them out. I have been to interviews where, yes, they normally tell you who can come in and who cannot. And they just let Hillary bring an entourage. Can you imagine a mob boss saying, well, I can come in, but I get to have the key eyewitness sit in there with me and give me advice on what I should say?
Incredible.
It's insane. FBI doesn't do that.
Right.
Congressman, you're making the case here that this looks inept at best, but where do you go from here? I mean, if it's just ineptitude when it comes to the investigation, can anything really be done?
Well, sure, there can be plenty done, even with the immunities that have been given. We just found out this week that there were 1,000 emails or so that went between Clinton and a guy named Petraeus. You don't think the head of the State Department emailing a guy at the CIA had classified information? And then we find out also this past week that Huma Abedin was shown an email where her response was, how is this not classified? She knew it was classified. The State Department's own secretary, who has authority, even when she doesn't see a C, to add a C and say, this is now classified. She's supposed to have that kind of expertise, but you know there was classified material going back and forth.
Right.
And when Huma saw this classified material in her private server going to this unknown name, who is this? And they had to disclose, well, that's the pseudonym the president uses. Oh, the president has to use a pseudonym? Clearly, he knew this was not going through a secure server.
This gets worse and worse and worse. This gets worse and worse and worse, Dagen.
It does.
And no offense to the congressman, but we're all wading into the morass. And it's so complicated and so detailed. And if you listen to people talk about it, even in just private conversation, the big question is, listening to Jim Comey yesterday, he was adamant about why Hillary Clinton was not prosecuted in July at that press conference. But then he basically gave the Justice Department cover. It wasn't his decision to prosecute, but then he gave the Justice Department cover yesterday. My question is, what the hell happens at the end of the day to anybody involved in any of this? What the hell happens? And the answer is going to be a big old nothing. So we can sit here and talk about the swamp that is Hillary Clinton and all of the machinations and the relationships, but you know what? Is anything really going to happen to her?
Well, it doesn't look like it. It looks like there's a different standard for her. But if you really want to know an answer to one of the questions that Judicial Watch, God bless them, they have been so strident in moving forward. They've gotten more information than the Benghazi committee did because they were able to go through court, and Boehner was never going to let the Benghazi committee go through court. So one of the questions is, why did you use a private server? Well, actually, we got the answer to that from
well, we know why she used a private
Clinton
server.
friend.
Come on,
well,
we know why.
Yeah, James Carville told us. He said a year and a half ago she didn't want Louis Gohmert rifling through her emails. We know why. She did it for cover from the beginning.
Exactly. But wait, there's more, Congressman, okay? It looks like Clinton had the date pushed back, the due date pushed to October 13th. How many times can she keep pushing this until after the election? I mean, now she's pushing it to October 13th.
Well, I think this judge has been strong enough that this isn't going to be allowed. I don't think this judge will allow that to keep being pushed back. So we'll see, but it helps to have a federal judge in the picture pushing this forward, because otherwise so much of this would never have been disclosed. Without the deadlines by the judge in the Judicial Watch FOIA suit, so much of this would never have come out. But we see what happened here, and it becomes clearer every week when the Justice Department does their political disclosure of documents late on Friday when the news cycle is over.
Yep. Congressman, yeah.
But people still hear about them, but they don't seem to care. I mean, why don't people care?
Isn't that amazing? Isn't it amazing?
Congressman, good to see you. Thank you so much.
Good to see
we appreciate
Thank
it.
You.
Congressman
Thanks
Louis
for knowing what's going on.
Gohmert joining us there. Still to come, painkillers causing more pain than you know. The new study that may make you think twice before using products like ibuprofen. Plus, add a perk to your day without killing your wallet. How companies are celebrating National Coffee Day. We sure are. Back in a minute.